Good morning. Now, today we will be covering the chapter of lipids. So, now we need to know that lipids are further classified into several categories, which include waxes, they include substances like oil, such as terpenes and steroids. These are all lipids. Now, we will understand this principal characteristics of lipids. So, we need to know that lipids are mainly insoluble in water. And as our videos, if you watch the videos, our previous videos on nutrition, you would know that lipids usually store double the amount of energy and they are an excellent insulating source. So they are basically present in the skin of animals and they help them keep warm. Now we will be covering the other properties of lipids. You need to know that lipids make up the hydrophobic nature of this cell membrane. Now we'll be covering cell membrane later. However, you need to know that now what is hydrophilic? Hydrophilic means water loving, and hydrophobic just remember the word like philic means water loving, and phobic stands for like phobia. So phobic is water hating. So hydrophobic is water insoluble, and you could easily remember that lipids are water insoluble substances. Now, since I will be only covering this video rapidly and will be teaching you the essential concepts, I will not be teaching you the factual stuff. Now, I would like you to know that what are triglycerides? Triglycerides are made by the cumulative combination of fatty acids and glycerol during a process called esterification. In this process, there is water is the byproduct which is released because there is dehydration occurring, in which you can see that OH, you need to understand that the OH group from the fatty acid and glycerol from hydrogen is removed. You need to always know that this is the combination that OH is removed from the fatty acid, and there are three fatty acid chains involved. These and this, hence three water molecules are removed. These combine to make a triglyceride or a neutral fat. Now, where are triglycerides form? Means mainly stored triglycerides are stored in the adipose tissue, and you need to know that if they are accumulated in the heart, it leads to atherosclerosis. Therefore, I mentioned in the previous videos as well that fats should be used as sparingly as possible. Now, we will be briefly touching upon the key differences between unsaturated fatty acids and saturated fatty acids. Now we need to remember that the greater the number of double bonds are the greater is the solubility of the fatty acid. Now saturate, as you know from chemistry, that saturated represents a single bond, whereas unsaturated represents double bonds. Therefore, unsaturated fatty acids are firstly soluble at temperature, and secondly, they are present mainly in the form of liquids and oils. Also, you need to know that the unsaturated fatty acids which we eat are healthy and they are obtained from plants. These are the omega 3 and omega 6 fatty acids, which are cardioprotective in nature, and hence doctors advise us to eat them in more quantity. However, the saturated fatty acids are the fatty acids which are obtained from animals and sources such as beef and pork, and so they are solids in nature. And as the name implies, the saturated means there are only single bonds, so they are unhealthy in nature. And just for your information, that there are two types of fats in the body: LDL cholesterol, and HDL cholesterol. So saturated fatty acids mainly make up the LDL cholesterol, and it is the unhealthy fat. However, HDL, which is high density cholesterol, is good for the body, and unsaturated fatty acids mainly make up the HDL cholesterol. Now we will I will just tell you briefly the functions of waxes and various other categories. So what are waxes? Waxes are hydrophobic compounds. Hydrophobic compounds meaning that they are not water soluble. Now we need to know that waxes are chemically inert and they're just like a covering on the body. They are mainly protective functions in plants and animals to protect them from predators and the environmental conditions such as rainfall or desiccation. So now the most common examples are of beeswax and cutin, which is the surface of the leaf. Now Yeah, this is an important example of phosphatidylcholine, and you need to know that phosphatidylcholine is one of the most common examples. Is lecithin, and lecithin is a phospholipid. You can just remember that whenever a nitrogenous base is combined with a phosphatidic acid, it gives rise to a phospholipid. This combination is very important. Now we will be covering the major function of cell membrane. Like I told you above as well, that at the height, this you need to know that the cell membrane composition is mainly of two parts. The hydrophilic head means the hydrophilic the head is water loving, and the hydrophobic tail means that the tail is water hating. So in other words, a substance can, as you know, that substances can easily pass through water soluble molecules. However, they cannot pass through areas which are water insoluble. Hence, the essential food nutrients such as glucose and amino acids, which need to be traveled into the inside of the cell by diffusion, they can easily to travel by by diffusion through the hydrophilic component, which is placed outwards from the cell membrane. However, they cannot pass through the hydrophobic part, and thus substances such as proteins are unable to pass through. Thank you. This ends this part of the video. We will be covering the other part soon. Thank you.